Hi, everyone. I hope everyone had a great day or is having a great day. I know it's Friday, so hopefully y'all got paid today. And hopefully y'all having a great time, great dinner, or whatever. But we are here to talk and discuss about this book by R.F. Kuang, Babel. I've been wanting to read this ever since it came out. Um, and so I decided to read this with my members as well. And as you can see, I tapped it up. A lot of people have recommended to me, especially, hey, Chris, Chris right here has recommended this book to me. I believe ML and Ali has also recommended this book to me. And I had an emotional time with this book. Um, I think I was mostly angry when I think about it. I'm like, there was some times where I'm like, okay, this is very informational. It has very factual, but I was really upset. Hey, Lisies. Um, and it made me think about. I mean, I love how R.F. Kuang did her research with this, which hence the footnotes within this book. She used a lot of sources, and they're accurate. I liked how she took her time with this book to make sure she got all the facts corrected. No one could say not one thing saying that this is not accurate, this is not accurate, this did not happen, or whatsoever. She made sure she took her time with this particular book. I still have to finish tabbing my copy. I mean, I could have tabbed up a lot more, but I was trying to pace myself. And every time I was tabbing, I had to keep stopping because I was listening to the audiobook as well. And I'm like, let me just, I need to stop tabbing. But I tabbed a lot in this book. I even put sticky notes in it as well. Because, yeah, I had a lot to say. Um, and I just had a great time reading it. Great time. Hey, Jira, how are you? I was highlighting full pages. Right, I wanted to do that. I was like, I actually invested in some highlighters, but I even had my little tab guide that I wrote. Like, this is my copy. So this is the Barnes and Noble, or the U.S. edition. I have the two special editions, but I wanted to get this copy alone because I did not want to write in my special ones. So I definitely wrote in this one, but I have a little guide in here for each tab that I have. And it got bad where I was running out of the original tab. So I was like, well, the color still goes with the same thing. So yeah, so I was running out of tabs. So at least C's and Chris. I was angry too. I was downright pissed. Right. It really had me going. Like how it started. I was like, okay, this is very informational where we talk about when it brings up Robin, and how technically that wasn't his name, but the professor told him he needed to change his name. And so that's when we have the information of the Robin Swift, like how he got his first name and last name. I believe it's from Gulliver's Travels, I believe, is the book that he got inspired for his name to use when he was going to London with the professor. But the thing I thought it was so weird, like, why you? This is a random stranger. Why are you going? Like, he took you in after your mother died from being sick, um, and then he just randomly takes you in. I'm thinking to myself, what is his motive? Why is he randomly just taking him in? Is it because he truly cares about Robin, or is there something else going on? So I was out, like my brain was going. I'm like, something's up with this guy, just randomly. Like out of everyone that lost someone with I forget what was it called. It was a sickness. I know she had done a footnote for it. I'm trying to find it. Let's see. And he went to Canton, right? He's from Canton. Let me see. I don't remember. Let me know what was his mom died from. But he seemed so intrigued with his language, and how he's able to speak English. Um, I don't know. The professor definitely had me thinking about stuff. Says That's the truth, Elises. I could have probably highlighted entire pages or started a separate notebook. Right. This is a type of book where you had to, like, I feel like you are obligated to at least have stuff up in a book if you had the physical book, or if you had like the audio or the ebook and you highlighted stuff. I felt like this was the particular book for that. And I felt like this is also a great book to have discussions about. Oh, my tabs is all crooked. um, what did y'all think about the professor? Like I told you, I was like, he randomly just came out of the blue, to Canton and talked to Robin and saying, hey, well, he noticed how great he was with languages and stuff like that and speaking English, and he just randomly took him in. But he made it clear that he's his guardian and not his father. So what did y'all think of that? For some reason, I didn't like the professor to begin with. I just didn't know for what reason. This is my first R. Kwong read. She is such a great writer. I definitely recommend you read The Poppy War, all three of those books. Now, those are very deep. I like how with her writing, she uses realistic things that has happened or is happening in the world. And I think with The Poppy War, it gets brutal where sometimes you might have to put the book down, which hence I also put this book down a few times because there was at least a couple characters in here. No, there was more than a couple that were pissing me off. Like I was writing notes up in here. I'm like, can I just punch her? Can I just hit her? Like I was going through it with this book. I thought there's no flipping way he should leave with him. Right. I'm like, this is a random dude and he just randomly takes you in and you never thought like question it. I think Robin did question it, but I don't know. It was just the professor was weird. And then Robin was introduced to the woman who he didn't recognize her accent. She's Scottish. So, only thing he knew was, his life in Canton. So he had to embrace all other things that he was experiencing as he was leaving with the professor going to London. And the professor did not give him, I don't feel like he gave him a heads up of what he was going to experience once they arrived at London. He was not prepping him for that. He was only prepping him for to join Babel, to tutor him and make sure he studies well and all that stuff. And the professor didn't seem like he had great intentions, which of course we found out he didn't, obviously. Same here. Was it cholera? I think it was cholera. I remember there was a footnote of it where it breaks down. Oh, yeah, it was. It said, in 18... I have it tabbed here. It says 1829, the plague that later became known as Asiatic cholera made its way from Calcutta across the Bay of Bengal to the Far East. First to Siam, then Manila, then finally the shores of China on merchant ships. Yeah, so it was cholera. The only issue I had with this book is how well she wrote and researched for this book. I had to keep reminding myself that magic is not real. Yeah, for sure. I like how with each character that Robin was with, like his little group, I liked each and every one of them except for what's her face name? I couldn't stand Letty. Was it Letty? Don't get me lying. Yeah, it was Letty. I could not stand her at all. I hated that they had like when he got into London and he was, his first year, he was getting, taught things about the different histories and everything like that. I found that nice. He was breaking everything down, especially about the meanings of words, Latin, different translations. I found that very fascinating to me. Like I really, really enjoyed it. I just did not like the treatment that him and his friends were receiving, whether if they were from a different country or they were a woman or because of their complexion and what they look like. They experienced a lot. Um, Racism was heavily in this book. Um, and I'm actually happy she wrote this book because I feel like I feel like a lot of people have read this book and maybe it has waken them up to things in this on this planet, on this earth, where racism has been existing, but only because the how the people structured the not only the world but their country in general, and how they look at people. But I also like that with R.F. Kuang, she gave us a little insight on each of the characters and their backgrounds, which I found that fascinating as well. Lowell Kinchog, I didn't like him from the jump. I suspected a lot from the jump, but I keep having realizations even months later and get mad all over again. Yeah, he used Robin. They were using those kids only for only for their own gain. Um, for the for Britain, developing things in order to create war amongst different countries. Um, I just found that a lot of the stuff in this book, even though this is located in Oxford, in London, it reminded me so much of the U.S. And colonialism, slave trade, all that, because if all these countries, especially England, were connected when it came to slavery and colonialism, all that. Um, so yeah, let me see. Cholera actually read the many lives of Afong Moy based on an actual person. She was mentioned in Babel, the woman who had her feet banded. Yes, it also mentioned that of feet being banded. I think the last book that I read that mentioned women's feet being banded, that way their feet wouldn't grow to a bigger size, was Iron Widow, which is another fantasy book, but I think that one is YA, I believe. Um, and it did mention that, and I'm like, yeah, that I know that had to be so painful, so painful. Honestly, Robin being confused / struggling to understand her Scottish accent was a mood, though. Yeah, yeah. He thought, he was like, what? Why is she talking like this? Because if you think about it, he didn't know anything other than where he was from, you know. Um, and I think when he got to London, I think that's when he started to grasp different backgrounds, and to accept everyone's background and who they were. Um, and I liked Robin. Now was he naive? Yes, he was. And I think at that point where he was starting to think for himself, like you see his transformation from being naive, and as he's learning these different translations, Latin, these different languages, I think he is pretty much starting to be the devil's advocate. He's starting to question things. Um, and that's when he meets his brother Griffin. And I'm like, whoa. And that's when a lot of stuff started to pop off. I feel like once he met Griffin and the society that he created, I'm like, interesting. I didn't like the professor from the beginning, but I didn't make any assumptions at the time. I was still in the let's see where this goes, right? I just feel like Professor Lovell had no. It was just weird, it was really weird. But as being a young boy or whatever, you probably feel like, well, I don't have any family. My mom's dead. This random man wants to take me in and take me to London. Why not? So he was a little kid, So I gave him grace with that. You're a little kid. You don't know much. You only knew your mom and the family you had, and everyone that you had is now gone. So I can see what he was thinking. Hey everyone. Hey, how are you? Not just racism, but the whole structure of colonialism. Yes, the whole structure of it. Um, and that's why I hope people have actually read this book. But who knows if people really took in everything that was happening in this book and just thought of it like, oh, this is just a fantasy type of book. It's not real. But the facts she was using in order to write this book, those are actual facts. She gives you actual facts in the footnotes. And I hope people did not ignore those footnotes because those are very informational. Language is huge. It is the beginning of genocide. Yes, you make a people forget their language. You lead them to forget history, culture, tradition, oral history. Yes, And that's what the professor did to Robin. Are we going to be jumping in spoilers or keeping it spoiler free? Because I have a thought, but it's technically a spoiler. Oh, we can do it's spoilers. It's a discussion, so it's going to be spoiler filled. So go right ahead, Chris. Go ahead. I feel like we are allowed to do spoilers. It's book club. Yeah, spoilers are allowed. I kept thinking about Nick Cannon every time Daddy's character hit the page, just making babies for future use. Of Professor Nick Dora. Yes, all for the future and only for their personal gain. He had Griffin. Griffin deviated from the professor's plan for him, so Griffin, disappeared. You had the other people in the association with Griffin where they faked their own deaths. Which I don't know. Sometimes that made me think of. I know this was a conspiracy, but it made me think of like Tupac and how people feel like he is still alive today. He just faked his death based off of Machiavelli and what he had done. So, and I feel like if he is alive, he did it for a reason. Um, so but like I said, everybody for what they did to fake their own deaths in order to where people didn't know them or felt like they were gone, they were able to execute their plan when it came to Babel. Hey Dee, how are you? That was so gross. He was literally breeding future translators. Yes. And he had a wife and stuff. But the wife obviously didn't care. Their marriage obviously was like contractual. So I just found that this so messed up, but so accurate. Think about in the U.S. and the first president. Some of the the first presidents of this country of the U.S. and what they were doing with women that were enslaved, having babies with them and stuff like that, but never said like claim them. Really, they never claimed them as their own children. The same way that Professor Lovell did with Griffin and with Robin. Did not claim them whatsoever. Did not say no word, did not say like I'm your father. He literally said to Robin, I'm your guardian. I'm not your father. Literally, that's the first thing he told him when he said he would take him to London, but told him like, hey, I'm your guardian, and that's it. Agree, spoiler away. Yeah, that's kind of along the lines of what I was going to say. Lovell was basically taking it upon himself to breed future Babel scholars. Yeah. And that's just so messed up. I'm still not finished. I think I read too fast. I'll slow down some tomorrow. Okay. Completely agree. Do spoilers. So many layers of exploitation, starting with the women he impregnated. Yes. For sure. Not Professor Daddy. Yes. I keep waiting for Tupac to accidentally hop on a remix with Blueface or Travis Scott. Right, like people some people fake their deaths for a reason because they felt like they were being exploited or there was too many people, all eyes were on them, and so I don't want that. So let me figure a way to get up out of here. And you also think of who he was signed with. I mean, Tupac at the time with Death Row. With Suge Knight. So Tupac wanted to get out of there. Suge Knight was crazy, so they find ways to get out of bad situations. Hence why Griffin and the other people that used to be a part of Babel left to create their own association to take down Babel. And when I think about this society that Griffin and the few other people that started this and what their intentions were, it makes me think of how the structure in the US can possibly be broken down and what steps need to happen. Says the oh snap, we are spoiling, but you do have to read this one slowly. Yeah, you do have to read it slowly because it's a lot to take in. And it gives you a lot of information, especially with each character. It gives you facts about what they're doing. So yeah, just take your time. but it's a great read. I like how with each chapter it mentions different things. Like on chapter 4, it brings up Genesis, like a scripture, Genesis 11:8 through 9. Um, I like how the book is formatted. It's just really just well done. Yes, definitely. My only thing is, how did he know they would actually turn out to be Babel scholars? He doesn't have scholar sperm, or did I miss something? Um, well, remember when he met Robin or whatever, and Robin said he noticed how well Robin was speaking English is because of that maid, and I think the maid that they had, the professor sent the maid over to look after or educate Robin prior to the professor coming to get him, because I feel like even if his Robin's mother didn't die, I felt like the professor would have taken him from her anyways, based on what he was doing. Love this book. Her writing style really pulls you into heavy topics, forcing confrontation, not letting the reader look away. I have to watch later, but wanted to say thank you for this discussion. Oh, you're welcome, NJ. It's a great way of showing how unity can dismantle corruption. Yes, for sure, for sure. I I don't even want to get started with the ending. I was so pissed, like so pissed. But within each chapter, we learn more about all the other characters as well. So we have Robin. I'm trying to remember everybody. We have Letty. Was it, and the other girl, was it Victor, something like that. And then what was the other dude's name that I was so mad for him what Letty had done to him? What was his name? Somebody remind me. It's been a minute. I'm trying to remember. I can't think of it right now. Like, and then you also see classism as well in this. Yeah. And a lot of these dudes, like the people that had money or whatever at Babel, they were so stupid to me. I'm like, how did y'all? I know y'all got in Babel only because of who you know, but y'all didn't really deserve to be up in here. Let me see. Let me know who was the. Yes, yes, Rami, Victoria and Rami. Yep, poor Rami. I was so upset. I was so upset. Man, let me go back. Sorry, I'm skipping. I don't know if it was explicitly stated, but my theory is that the ability to silver work is genetic. Mm, that's true. I think he realized that with Griffin, but Griffin defected, so he wanted to have another child from Canton specifically. Hi everyone. Hey Adrian. Yeah, I think he believed his white gene would help erase the barbarian in the children he produced. It is unfortunately still believed by some. Yes, it is. 100%. It's a okay. I kind of thought about that, but I couldn't remember the silver actually being mentioned for that purpose. Yeah. Did y'all rate it yet? So as I was at first, I was like, "Oh, this is 5-star," but I had to think. I'm like, I gave it a 4.5. It's close. It's pretty much a 5-star, but I gave it a 4.5, just based off of the ending. I I didn't like a couple things like the ending, but we can discuss that later or now. Let me know. Victoria Romney, yes, yes, unity. Agree. Now, the one part that I shouldn't have loved it, but I couldn't stand this. I couldn't stand the professor. Was what Robin did to the professor when they were out on the ship or whatever. Like Robin just snapped, and I feel like that's realistic to anyone and everyone when you're pushed and you starting to think for yourself and you're starting to read between the lines of not only just like knowing that he's actually his father and how he's been exploiting Robin, his character. Uh, like Robin snapped, and I did not feel bad for the professor whatsoever. I was tabbing it up. I'm like, yes, Yes, this man is an asshole. Like he did not, after what he was saying to Robin, constantly demeaning him. I was just like, Robin, you about to snap. I can feel it. And yep, he had it coming. I didn't feel bad for the professor whatsoever. Yeah. But then Victoria did what she did and nullified the sacrifice. Yeah, yeah. The ending part with her, I don't know. I didn't, I, I know like she was in hiding at the end, but the place that she agreed to go to, I don't know why she picked the US. You know, Chris, you're right. It's supposed to be genetic. 5-star all day, baby. The book is a masterpiece. The emotions, the betrayal, the work she put in for translation, right? I just didn't like. I was so upset for Robin, though. Like why? Like I get it. I get it. I think he was just done with everything that he went through to be part of Babel, and then a lot of things started to come about. Um, with his father, uh, the structure of Babel, and then he finds out the actual the reality of why they wanted these certain translations and stuff like that, all to help them in the country's personal gain, to control people and to hurt people at the same time. Lobo had it coming, and that was so satisfying. Yes, agree, Chris. I thought that was the case, but it's been a minute since my last reread. My only complaint, it was too fast. I needed it to be drawn out. I have bloodlust sometimes. Sorry. No, do not apologize because I did too. I'm like, damn it. Like, dang, Robin. I know, like, you wanted to go out and play, but jeez. I Is it bad? I cried a little bit for Robin. I cried for him. I really cried because he sacrificed himself. Um, but I know he thought he was also destroying Babel. But I felt like at the same time with the work that he destroyed, the country would find ways to get all that information back. They would still be exploiting people and demeaning people, and rebuild Babel. And I believe he knew that. It's supposed to make you feel that way. Yeah. Victoria disappointed me so much. I hated her. Poor little rich girl found out actions have consequences. Now she had to live with herself. Yeah, she just. I would have went out with Robin. I would have went out with Robin. No questions. No questions. Agreed. I wish it was a duologue. Mm. This is just my personal opinion, but I think Robin loved Rami. And Griffin was the only family he had left. So with both of them gone, he lost his will to live. Yeah, which I could, because that is actually a great point, Chris. Because he only knew his mother and stuff, his family in Canton. And then he left with the professor. He killed the professor, which he really didn't give two shits about. And he met Rami and Griffin, and I was crying because especially how Rami went out, all because of Letty. Like, you already covered up the professor being killed, and then you were like, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. But why would you help the people that brought you down your whole life? Like, I don't know why she betrayed them like that and then killed Rami just because he wasn't into her. I'm like, man, somebody get rid of this bitch. Like, that's how I felt. I'm like, man, I was pissed. Hi, as y'all know, 5 stars for me. Still my favorite book. Yes, this book is definitely up there for me. It definitely surprised me. Yes, it's informational, but I love information. There's a lot of stuff to get into at the very beginning where it gives you information after information. But I feel like it was like a build-up because we got an introduction of Robin. We see his transitioning and all that, and how he was starting to think for himself. So it's like different transitions in the book that you just have to go through and just join the ride. Just stay on the ride and just wait. It gets better. Oh, No, my bloodlust was for Lovell. It was too quick for me. My liking. Yeah, I would have tortured him. Is that bad? I should have said that. I would have probably just took my time killing him. Like, you know what? All right, you're gonna die slowly. This was the easiest 5 star I've ever given, by the way. Yeah, I can't wait to see a picture of you tabbing more of it. I get pissed that almost all of the good fantasy books are series. Now I'm pissed there is no sequel to Babel. Yeah, I mean, well, how it ended. I mean, not necessarily there will be a sequel, but I mean, I feel like she kept it um, open ended, where maybe she could write another book, like a prequel to this or something like that. Maybe. Um, I don't know. That would be nice if there was some type of prequel to it. But I also there was this quote that Victor had said at the end. I like underlined it. It said, "Victory is not assured. Victory may be in the portents, but it must be urged there by violence, by suffering, by martyrs, by blood. Victory is wrought by ingenuity, persistence, and sacrifice. Victory is a game of inches." Of historical contingencies where everything goes right because they have made it go right. Which is true. Like you have victory, but they make so that everything will go how they plan. But I don't know. I know Victoire. I think I'm saying her name right. I know she had to be hurting. She had to be hurting. And I'm glad that they gave us her background as well, where she said she was born in Haiti in 1820, the same year that King Henry Christophe, fearing a coup, took his own life. Oh, man, they all had very heartfelt backgrounds. I'm glad we got the last epilogue of Victoire since she's the only one that lived. I wish it was 2 books, but the author makes you feel for the characters and plot. Yeah, I felt I became very close to these characters, like they were my friends, and I felt for them so much because I've experienced that in college where I'm the only person, like I'm only Black person. I was called a lot of things. I'm sure y'all know some words. Monkey was one of them. With them saying that I don't deserve being here or whatever. Until, I started to be the top of my class. Then they started being all nice and, stuff like that, which I felt like that was how, people they didn't accept Robin, but they respected his growth in Babel. But yeah, I felt for each one of these characters. Letty, I could care less about. I get it. She didn't get the respect she deserved, as a woman and stuff like that. But for what she did, I can never respect her for that. I can't. I can't. You're such a traitor. You don't know anything about loyalty whatsoever. You're the type of person that likes to stick to the rules, stick to the rule book or whatever. And I feel like, yeah, no, nope, didn't care for her. Oops, I didn't mean Victoria. I meant Letty. Oh, yeah, you're fine. Letty is the personification of white feminism, especially how she's so focused on her own struggle and can't see how she's contributing to the problem. Right? I'm like, Letty, get out of your own head. She got on my nerves. I think she was the most annoying character in this book, in my opinion. I think she was so annoying. Yes, Letty. I agree with Chris. Robin loved Remy. Their reaction didn't make sense, though, to Letty. They knew she was capable of turning on them. Yeah, that's true. I think they were just giving her the benefit of the doubt because they were they were all together from the beginning and stuff, from their first year into their second year. So maybe they were thinking like maybe she'll change her mind. She knows us. She's known us for some years now, but I don't know. I am on an island by myself. I gave it 2 stars, but I still want to go read Yellowface. Yes, I'm really interested in Yellowface because that's going to be a great read. I'm really looking forward to that. Who knows? I might get different editions for that book. Don't judge me. Um, yeah, R.F. Kuang's writing is phenomenal. Um, all the books that she has written has been spot on. Um, and yeah, I hope she keeps doing her thing because Babel was amazing. The time she put in for this, I have to give her flowers because this was beautiful. Now, was it supposed to piss you off? Oh, yes, you're supposed to get mad when you read this because everything, like all the facts and sources that she used were accurate. All the dates and stuff in the years that she would provide in the footnotes are accurate. Um, and she makes, and I felt like for this to be like as a fantasy, um, and she wrote this book how it's about exploitation, colonialism. Actually, I like that because I felt like if this was just a regular historical nonfiction book, a lot of people would have picked it up. um, and I think there's a lot of fantasy readers, and for people who reads fantasy and they read this, maybe they're open their eyes to the world. I know there's some people to this day who are naive about this world and how each country, what they did to people in order to gain their own wealth, their own generational wealth. I liked how she took her time with this. This is a book that I will recommend it to anybody. I recommend it to anybody. I think this is a 4.5, but I'll round it up to 5. Yeah, like I said a 4.5, but it was like, that's pretty much a 5-star. Oh snap! How come? I know I asked before, but I missed your response. Yes, Adrian, please tell us. Please tell us. Just let me know why you gave it a 2-star. I love to see a Midnight Sun, but actually done well type of deal where we see the story from Rami and Victoria's point of view and maybe a Griffin origin story too. Yes, like she wrote this book in a way where she could possibly write multiple books. So who knows what she has in store for us. Maybe like you said with Rami and Victoria's point of view, she can go more into Victoria when she is leaving and going to the US. Like who knows? Because I mean, she could like go with that. I mean, since if I'm not wrong, like I said, Victoria is going to the US. So that's one thing I had questioned. Like, okay, she's going to the US. Wouldn't she like? I'm trying to think like what. Only one thing I could think of would have happened to her, but it's like open ended. So many things could have happened to Victoria. I don't know. So that would be nice if she picked it up when Victoria went to the U.S. and there's some type of organization, or whatever, or something closer to Babel, where she finds out about the U.S. and how their structure of their government is and stuff like that, and how she's willing to also take her, do what Robin did with Babel. Victoria's experience as a free Black person in pre-Civil War America needs to be written. I don't know if Kuang is comfortable writing outside of Europe and Asia. Yeah, but I don't know. I think she is comfortable because isn't maybe I'm wrong. I mean, isn't Yellowface supposedly in the U.S.? I think, right? I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But I think she might be comfortable, but then again, she doesn't want to write anything she doesn't know anything about either. But I don't know. That would be nice to see Victoria's experience. Yeah, but she was never a real friend. True. I think maybe for Robin, Rami, and Victoria, they didn't want to believe Letty actually would betray them after everything they went through. Right. I mean, they went through a lot together. Like they were learning all these different translations. They were trying to progress with themselves as far as their education and possibly careers and stuff like that. And they didn't see it coming because even Letty helped them cover up, make sure to get rid of the professor's body. But you could see from that point, she started to drift away from them. So I don't know. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm with them, helping them get rid of the professor's body. But I'm one of the friends that is skeptical and like be observant and like witness how Letty was acting from that point on. But I don't know. I wish they knew about Letty, but they were just backstabbed. And I'm like, man, can somebody go for Letty, please? She deserves to just get her ass kicked. She put in the work. Yes, she did put in the work. I appreciate everything she's done. Did she write this during the pandemic as well? I think, was that in her? I don't remember if it was in her acknowledgments. So I remember she was thanking a lot of people. She was researching with Oxford, different professors and everything to make sure everything was accurate. It doesn't say if she did write this during the time of. I'm assuming she did though, because I know how to take a lot of time and care to get everything in order and get all the facts together, plus how she went to make the arrangement of order of like how each event took place, like mentioning all the different parts of history from the years into now. So everything had to have its own type of order as well, not only with the facts but also with the storyline. So yeah, she's so creative, very creative. I realized while reading this book that I'm not a dark academia person. Oh, yeah, you mentioned that. I feel like with this book, it was dark academia, but I feel like it was a lot more about structure of government and what they will do and what they can do in order to get what they want. Because of the power that they have, they feel like they are unstoppable. They can do whatever they want. You see the professor, what he did, making sure he went to someone, had babies with someone who he felt would end up becoming intelligent, in order for him to take his child to Babel, knowing that he also had a wife who had money. So, yeah. And also talks about friendships and how to cherish friendships and how sometimes there may be a person who is not really for you, and they might just stab you in the back later on. Yeah, I actually want to get Yellowface. I think I want the Waterstone edition over the others. Yeah, I like the Waterstone one. Let me see. Hold on, I wonder if I can pull it up real quick. So we might as well. Let me see if I can pull it up. If it will hurry up so I can show y'all. Yellowface. Because I thought the edition was beautiful. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, let me share my screen while I'm doing that. Sorry, y'all. So, yeah, like look at that. Like just look at this edition. It's so beautiful. Like here, let me make it bigger. Like I like the edges where it says Yellowface. I love it. So yeah, I agree with you, Lisa. I think I like Waterstones. And then I think I'm also gonna like Fairy Loots as well. But Waterstone does an amazing job, and it's always it's signed too, as well. But yeah, I might at least have one or two editions of Yellowface for sure. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, she's been working on this book for years since she was working on The Dragon Republic while in school at Oxford studying for a master's. Yeah, so she was even in school, right? Like for her to be an author and still in school and multitasking and doing all this research to make sure it's accurate, I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that she is an author who is making sure her stuff is accurate. Whereas some authors, they just write stuff and then they get backlash because it's not accurate at all. There's no accuracy. whatsoever. And then they try to say, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Well, yeah, you did mean to do that, because if you really didn't mean to, you would have took the time. Like, I know authors have deadlines, but you would at least took the time to make sure things are accurate and accurate representation. I cherish that. I respect R.F. Kuang for that. This was the first Kuang book I've read, but I loved it. I appreciate how in your face it was about colonialism, racism, etc. Yes, yes. I loved every single part. It was not sugar coated. It was straight to the gut. And it made me think, like, how much racism is still alive, and it's still going on, and it's because of how everything is structured, how the world has been structured based off of people who have tons of money and think that they can do whatever they want to people whenever they want. And I hate having, like, people having that much power over people, over someone. And yeah, she didn't want you to assume or come to your own conclusions. This is how it was, and boom, in your face. Surprisingly or not, people complain about this very thing. Okay, people are going to complain whatsoever, but I can't complain anything about this book because it's spot on. You can't, that's the thing, you can't not like these are like all the facts she provided are actual facts. You can't escape it. Like this is a prime example of like what's happening in Florida. Like, they're making sure like certain history isn't being taught or is being completely erased for people not to realize the beginning of how this country was created. I'm like, they want to hide it. And I'm like, why are you trying to hide things that were true? Why are you making it seem like none of this really happened? You know? So I appreciate R.F. Kuang giving it to us straight, telling it how it is. Honestly, this book made me want to go back to school and study linguistics like I used to want to. I really want to start learning different languages. I want to go back because when I was in college, I was studying Mandarin, but I fell off. I do want to go back. I would love to get back to learning different languages. I really do. We don't have to be nice or respectable about colonialism or racism. People really hate learning about the ugly truths. Right. But it's true. Like, why are you... So what are you really mad at? Are you really just disgusted with your ancestors to the point where you don't want nothing to be brought up from your past, your family's past? Because a lot of stuff has been coming to light with people's ancestors from back in the day. Like, I think one of the NFL owners, I don't know if it was in Texas for the Cowboys, I think was in one of, I forget, it was one of the football owners where they saw there was a photo of him in the background during a protest. And I think that's when they stopped with segregated schools. So a lot of stuff is coming to light. I know the people with Emmett Till, like their family, what that woman did, which I still feel like she should be in jail for what she did, because there was a warrant for her arrest. I feel like her family is embarrassed. And I think that's another thing. I think that they just don't want to be embarrassed for what their family has contributed to this country. Yep, I just looked it up. Yellowface is Asian American. Okay. You should. I took it while in school. It's fascinating, but not the whole story. Yeah, you're exactly right. I read it with a small group chatting online as we went along, and some people really grew in their understanding of why it shouldn't be gentle. Yeah, I mean, history wasn't gentle. I mean, what people were going through was not gentle. It was brutal. And it made me cry. Like, I'm getting emotional now because it just made me feel like all the people that were in pain and suffering. And it makes me like, were these people human? How could they do that to people? Like, did you really think it was okay? Like, man, it makes me think about humanity. And I feel like a lot of people's humanity is just went out the window. And it's still going out the window for some people. I think Yellowface is US, but I could be wrong. It sounds more like a thriller, which I think is a change from anything R.F. Kuang has written so far. Yeah, everything has mostly has some type of historical aspect into her books. Like, the Poppy War, and of course, Babel. So I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what she has in store for us when it comes to Yellowface. Honestly, if time and money were no object, I absolutely would. Please kick her ass. Little bitch Letty needed her ass whooped. Yes, I was waiting for somebody to kick her ass. Nobody did nothing. I shelled out the money for the IC edition of Yellowface. I had to have it. I think Illumicrate Crate did theirs already. They sold out, and I think Fairy Loot is doing theirs. Where's my phone so I can tell you when they're doing? They haven't sold theirs yet, or it hasn't gone live. Let me see. But I liked their edition as well. Like some books, you just have to have special edition stuff. But yeah, this is Fairy Loot's special edition. So you can see the end pages are a little bit different, but it has the paper and everything and the typewriter and stuff. But yeah, and they're supposed to start their sale for it May 23rd. Hello, I missed the Stone Sky discussion, but I did read it. Still like the 5th season the most. Yes, 5th season is awesome. She did? Why? Yeah, completely understand. I hope one of the book boxes includes Yellowface. Yeah, it looks like you have to like special order that, but who knows? I mean, the Broken Binding could have something. Goldsboro could have something, but I pre-ordered the one at Waterstones because I'm like I gotta have the edition. Got to. I'm not a fan of dark academia, but this book was mature enough that it didn't bother me. Gotcha. That's okay. I like this. No. I'm not sure what you're asking at, Brie. I'm sorry. I'm sick and brain's not working. Oh, I hope you feel better, Chris. Yes, Jerry Jones. Yes, Jerry Jones. Yeah. A lot of people's past is coming up, and people are just, I think they're scared of and don't want their past to be brought up, and they don't want to be embarrassed because a lot of people are being called out on their shit. And I think it's about time people do get called out. Oh, I know for a fact that my ancestors were shameful and racist and awful, but me denying that would not make it any less true. The truth has a way of coming out one way or another. Facts. It does have a way of coming out. And I think in order for it not to come out, people, Ron DeSantis for one, is making sure that those history isn't being taught, especially Black history, which is also American history, is not being taught. I want to retire to Texas, but they're out of control. Right. I was about to say, you want to retire to Texas? I don't know, Jira. The governor wants to pardon a man, yes, who shot a protester at a Black Lives Matter protest. Yes, yet a young Black man was sentenced to 70 years for spitting at a cop with fuck. Yes, that's happening right now. Because what was the law that he said? That's why he pardoned the man, because I guess the person, they were causing disruption, but it was a protest, and that's, you can protest. So I don't understand the logic. The governor, man, I can't live in Texas, y'all. I couldn't do it. I can't do it to myself. And that young Black man for 70 years. That's so fucked up on so many levels. For spitting at a cop. So if I wouldn't do this, because I think spitting at someone is disgusting, and you deserve to get your ass beat if you spit on me. Like, but I didn't 70 years. Even I don't understand that. I'm not in law. Maybe I should have been. But that sentence doesn't add up to me. But if there's anything that is going to remain consistent with in terms of writing, it's about colonialism. There's so much content, is overlapping discussions that can be brought up, which it is. Yes. On principle alone, I can't live in Texas or Florida, and that list is growing. Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff is happening. They're taking away our rights slowly but surely. And I think a lot of people aren't aware, or they just try to not even think about it. Like, even with the whole TikTok thing, they're trying to get rid of it. The first state that has already banned TikTok is Montana, I believe. Um, so they're literally trying to like take away things. And I think, like, for TikTok, for one thing, they're trying to get rid of people's income. And also, it's because TikTok is so informational. You can get a lot of information from TikTok. So much. I learned so much from TikTok. I couldn't believe. Like, it's better than Google at this point. Like, somebody, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Um, I just really enjoyed Babel, even though it made me so upset about things. But it's a lesson. It brings up a lot of lessons that I think we all have learned about. Racism still exists, and a lot of different countries, they still use these same methods in order to get what they want. I want to get out of Wyoming. Governor, I believe, just signed an anti-abortion bill into law here. Yeah, they're taking away women's rights as well. Rights are just, next thing you know, we're not allowed to protest, which what happened to in Tennessee. The representatives, all they did was do a protest, and it was a peaceful protest, and then they got expelled. Good thing they got reappointed, but for them to get expelled, yeah, yeah, TikTok is rapid fire information. And the government particularly doesn't want us to know all this stuff. And because it's run by a Chinese company, which they are so hell bent on removing themselves from because of the supposed tracking and spying that they are doing on the US, whether that's real. There was a big balloon that they had that they just let them fly. I don't necessarily think it was from China. Maybe it was. I don't know. But even our government in the U.S., they do some grimy shit in order to get what they want, and they'll make us make it seem like, oh, it was this country that did this. No, this country that did this, when it was actually themselves doing it. They just trying to blame a certain country just to start a war. Hence what Babel was doing. It's the same tactics. The same tactics. Babel, I think, is a punch to the gut, but it's a necessary punch to the gut. Yes, I agree. I think Wyoming just kept the marriageable age at 12 years old. Oh, man. This country is just a mess. I want to retire someplace I can grow fruit in my yard. Florida is not even in the running. Now Texas is slipping away. Cali is burning up. Yep. And actually, just a couple days ago, in Fort Lauderdale, they had over like 10 inches of rain. Like, cars were, like, you see the water and you see a little bit of the car. Like, California, I'll visit. I think I'm gonna stay in Ohio, probably, because I don't want to be anywhere near water because there's hurricanes and all that. I don't want to be anywhere near the South. I have family in the South. I'll visit, but I ain't staying. You know, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be staying in Ohio for a minute. Truth, they have done that for years. White people like me just need to get the hell over being uncomfortable with facts. I say, bring on the truth. I mean, who doesn't like the truth? Like, don't you want to know the truth? Man, I'm still trying to find out more about my ancestors, and it's hard. It's really hard because even with my family's history, a lot of it wasn't being recorded because they couldn't, or it was just destroyed. It's like so many people in this world don't know their ancestors or anything. I don't know. It's just it's a big mess. I don't get taken away. TikTok, my Samsung phone is tracking me anyway. I mean, if you got a Apple Watch or whatever, it's still tracking you. I mean, you get a notification asking you, would you like it to allow your location to be shared or whatever. It asks that. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, this country, they're just trying to stir the pot up. I don't know why they're trying to stir the pot up with China right now. We owe them trillions of money. We are in debt, and you want to just get on them about they're spying on us, yada yada yada. I don't know. I can't. That's another thing. I can't believe everything what we see on TV from the news or from the government, because it can just be complete bullshit. Because that's what they do. It's propaganda. It wouldn't surprise me. It's a mess here, but our statistics are off because no one lives here. Yep, and the governor hasn't helped them, but made sure to be available to sign another bill that will ban something else in the state. These bans are getting out of control. Mm-mm-mm. I've got to hop off. Good discussion. Thank you, Jane, for joining. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We can't heal without addressing the painful truth. Right, right. And I think even for especially for for us Black people in America, I think what we how do you heal from it? Like, there's truth, but I think like reparations needs to be a thing. And I know that probably will never happen. I think California is trying to do that, but I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think that's it, y'all. I'm gonna be doing some sprints as well. So literally after I hop off here, I'm gonna do send a link, you know, to everybody. We're having sprints tonight. Let me take my window down. I don't know why I have it up. It's dark outside. But yeah, this was just a great discussion. I'm glad that we finally read Babel. Even though like some of this history I knew, just reading it and learning more facts I didn't learn it opened my eyes to a lot of things. I like books like this because you can never. People will try to forget history, but you can't forget about it. I mean, you could try, but you can't, especially when you come from family and people that were like demeaned and beaten, like I don't know. But this was a great discussion. I really enjoyed reading Babel with y'all. Thank you for the discussion. This was amazing. I'm so glad to finally talk to other people about Babel. Yes, I will. This is a book that I will reread too. And I feel like when I reread it, there's definitely gonna be more tabs on here because I could have went crazy, but I didn't. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be a book that I would reread, and it's always gonna be on my shelves. Now I just I loved it. Yep, cherished. I just love this book. I'm glad I read it. I hope it opens people's eyes to what is afflicting so many countries and people all over the world. Yes, yes. I hope the same. I hope too. Like people will open their eyes to a lot of things. But I'm going to end this discussion. I'm having reading sprints, so give me at least a couple minutes to get it going. And I will see y'all in a little bit. Have a great night, and thank you all once again for joining the discussion about Babel by R.F. Kuang. Bye, everyone. See ya.